Welcome back, tribe. I have this one recommended by somebody over on the email. Marriage is a modern death sentence for men.
Fewer than 50% of adults are married, according to new statistics in this. Is this the end of marriage? Is it the beginning of a new way of life for people? What do you think?
Marriage is already done. It's already done. It's over with. What we have today isn't marriage anymore. The average marriage is 7 to 8 years.
With another? Well, that's a very good point.
Yeah. So marriage today isn't marriage. And honestly, marriage is a modern death sentence for a lot of men. Men are nine times more likely to commit suicide after a divorce.
Really?
And I think it's underreported, actually. Mm-hmm. I think it's higher than that because,
men get upset very easily.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that men are abused in the family court system.
I think that's a very unpopular.
We should remember the Fathers for Justice thing. The Fathers for Justice.
I don't think you guys could really live to be as old as you are, no offense, and not have seen someone really go through it in the family court system. So I
agree. Listen, I agree totally with what you're saying.
And you say marriage should be for life. You sign a contract of vows.
Well, it should be, but it's not.
You can't tie somebody to something for life.
Well, don't sign the contract then.
Well, I agree. Yeah. But what's going to happen in the future if marriage is dead? Family life is dead. We're not bringing enough new citizens into the world.
We're not. We're headed for a population collapse. Marriage is dead. Nobody wants to get married from the youngest generation. There's no incentive for men to even undergo such a thing where you could lose half your assets, have your woman lie on you and say you did something to the kids, so she automatically gets the kids too, with the most unfavorable court bias you could ever imagine, where your life gets turned upside down on somebody's word alone and your reputation destroyed. So your family, your friends in the community turns their back on you. Why? Because the other gender, the woman, can turn her back on her vows, can rip the contract up with the state and you, and have the state back her against you. What are you talking about? The moment the government entered into marriage is the moment marriage was on its deathbed.
What are we going to do?
I mean, I can't solve it, but the
that's
future.
Why we got you in.
Have you got any children?
What is the future going to be? It's going to be a lot of single parents,
a lot of old people,
it's going to be a lot of single parents, and it's going to be a lot of people without children.
Yeah.
So
start punishing people for breaking marriage vows. Start making it so that if you're the one leaving, you get nothing. Assuming the other person hasn't wronged you, didn't catch them in adultery or something like that, assuming nothing, and you just want to break your marriage apart because you fell out of love, you're entitled to nothing. And the person that earns the most gets the kids. That's how it is in Romania. Romania has a 22%, I believe, divorce rate, one of the lowest in Europe, I think. 22% for Europe is incredible. Guess who gets the kids? The one who makes all the money. I had this funny article just looking for divorce laws and things like that in Romania. This is Romania's marital prison, a medieval method for relationship therapy. Tucked away in the church grounds of a quiet village in Romania, there's a small room known as the marital prison. It was here that couples on the brink of divorce were once sent to solve their problems by the local bishop. So effective was this method that records show that there has only been one divorce in the area for the past 300 years. Obviously, it's not, those statistics don't hold today. But what I can tell you is people here are still very religious, take their vows seriously for the most part. If you're in the capital city, it's just as depraved as most of the West, but not nearly as extreme. And there is massive social stigma for getting divorced, especially in the countryside.
It used to depopulate, apparently.
I don't believe that.
Some of the world, maybe. But
Elon Musk says we need more, doesn't he? So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, feminism has won. And
how do you? We were talking just before to a counsellor, a lady called Mandy Clare, who was thrown out of a debate. She was a counsellor in a debate about women's issues, and she was thrown out because she wanted to talk about transgender views. It seems to me that we, as a nation or a society, not us, are becoming very kind of so-called politically correct wokeist. You can't upset anybody. You can't tell somebody they're doing wrong. And yet the whole foundation of society is sort of falling apart. Mm-hmm. Not falling apart, falling apart.
So what's the question?
So the question is, what can we do to bring it back?
I'm a happy pessimist. I don't see it coming back anytime soon. I think that society will just crumble. And, I think eventually it'll crumble so bad that people will go back to their traditional gender roles. I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime.
What about the States compared to this country? I mean, you live here. It's worse. Isn't it worse there? Is it?
Not really. It's like the same.
So what will you do to stay in this country? Because there are some countries that haven't got it.
Not really. I've interviewed people from around the world, and the countries that haven't got it, they're moving in that direction.
And they're authoritarian governments, the ones that don't have it.
So if there's nothing
good luck.
we can do,
even them. I mean, you can't undo social media. Social media, you know, when women are given freedom to date, they date 5, 10, maybe 20% of men at most. So that's what you're going to see. You're going to see more women sharing men, either as side chicks.
Men won't like that.
Maybe multiple wives.
Men won't like it, but men have done it for years.
What do you mean?
Men have always had, I was going to say a bit on the side, that's not really, but most men have from the traditional sort of form of marriage, a lot of men have had a couple of...
Most men don't get to reproduce. What are you talking about? We're talking a select few out of the whole population of men that have had harems and secret families and side pieces and stuff of that nature. That doesn't happen to every man. Most men can only afford to have one woman, if any woman at all.
Flings, during a marriage.
The top men, yeah. But the bottom, like...
Can they not do it?
No, one out of 3 men under 30 are sexless.
Really?
They're having either virgins or
is
having
that because of the internet,
though?
They're,
well, it's because women will always, a girl can turn 18 and she can get flown out by a billionaire to Dubai. These are the, where before she would marry her high school sweetheart.
You have no idea how common shit like that is until you go to Dubai and see it for yourself. The amount of Barbie-looking chicks, good-looking young women that are like 18, 19, 20, with old farts who've got a ton of money is shocking. It's normal. The other side of the aisle says like, that barely happened. No, if you're hot, you have access to things most of us will never have access to simply for the virtue of your beauty. That's it.
These are the...
This is basically your view. It's very unfair. Men go to war and die. Men do the tough jobs and women have had it easy is basically what you say.
Yeah. I mean, compared to men, I think a man's life is much harder than a woman's life.
I'd agree with that.
I'd agree. And you also agree, you think women shouldn't get the vote?
No, I don't think women should.
Why
vote.
not?
Because we're not doing the equal amount of work. I think if you have a right, it should come with a responsibility.
And even if, let's hypothetically say you took away women's right to vote, society would not get any better because you have a bunch of brain dead morons that are men too, especially some of the younger ones that have been indoctrinated in these so-called college programs. The only way you fix society, honestly, and I thought about this, is you have to have people that are 30 or older vote. And the only way you can vote younger than that is joining the military and willing to put your life on the line. That's the ultimate commitment to nation. So you get a voice. And that's whether you're a man or a woman. If you're willing to put your life on the line, on the front lines, they check the box. You can send me to the front if there's ever a need to defend the homeland. They get to vote. And people that are 30 and have a family. And if you don't have a family, you got to be like 40. That's it. We have to break up the tiers of who gets to vote. The 30-year-olds will be the largest segment and up with families because they would have started owning property by then, so they care about their neighborhood. On top of that, they're either conceiving or have conceived a child already. So 30 years or older, married, and having a kid. That's the earliest you get to vote, apart from putting your life on the line for the nation. I think that will solve a bunch of problems because we have a bunch of morons that vote right now in elections. And actually, there's so many of them that they actually do sway who wins and who doesn't. And they have absolutely no care about the society around them, the neighborhood, the state, wherever they live. They're extremely selfish. They don't think for themselves. They have no skin in the game and don't care what happens to the nation. They just check a box. Their votes can be bought. They're not thinking of something greater than themselves, like their family or their kids. And so they always vote selfishly and not selflessly for the betterment of the nation. It's only for the betterment of themselves. How could they benefit? And this is causing the division we're seeing in society today. That's my take on it. I would highly be on board. What do you guys think about that? You let me know.
Ability that comes with it. So if you have the right to vote, you should be contributing either tax-wise, maybe doing some of the infrastructure jobs, and I can compromise on this. It could just be net taxpayers, but let's just be honest. Women have a lot of debt and women are
They do actually factually have more debt than men.
They own 80% of the world's debt. So we're spending more money than we're making and we're doing a lot of the useless jobs.
And
so
it's on our credit cards.
Why are you going around talking about this? Surely what you should be doing is finding a nice man, getting married and behaving in the way you think everybody else should. Instead of becoming an anti-feminist who goes out and speaks about
really
it all
you're pro-feminist in a way.
Well, I'd like to get married. So I'd like to get married and have kids.
I don't think why you've got this this view. If you talk in my ear again, I will sack you. Sorry, beg your pardon. I mean, if you have if you have these views, should you not be actually looking for a man? I mean, I presume you've got a boyfriend.
Hmm. Yeah.
What does he think?
He likes this stuff actually. Like he's a
Well, he
fan.
would do,
So
wouldn't he?
yeah. So
Most men probably agree with, apart from
Yeah.
woke virtue.
yeah. So
What do other women
as
say?
As soon as you find somebody you want to marry and settle down with,
well,
the rest
it's
of it's gonna be-
it's the man's choice. I think marriage is a tough sell nowadays for men.
Do you want your boyfriend to
young
pop the
men-
question? You do, don't you?
I mean, eventually.
How long have you been,
yeah.
stepping out with him?
I don't want to go too
We
much into it just because
He
the
wants
internet's
you to
kinda,
propose to her.
But
I don't want to propose at all. Are you asking me?
No, I'm
Oh, right. Okay, fine. I dropped off.
yeah, no, I like him, so I hope
Yeah.
it works
well,
out.
that's the first.
How long have you been going out with him?
Not super long. It's new, so
If you got married and if he was having a bit of a fling on the side, would you want to get divorced? Or would you appreciate that maybe men are a bit like that?
no. I think women should work through infidelity. You know, there's extreme cases, right? But I think in general, women should.
But
work
you
through
blame that on
infidelity.
the man's infidelity. You will blame on the woman. I've heard
a
you talk
lot
about
of times, yeah, because
Yeah.
you know it's very common for women to not sleep with men after they get children.
Yeah.
So, you know, they get the kids they want. You know, I've interviewed guys that didn't have sex with their wives for 10, 15 years. And my question is, well, what
Jesus.
did you expect?
But you know,
Is that feminism that's done that?
Hang on, sex is
What-
not the be all and end all of marriage.
Well, it is to
It's
some
extremely
isn't it?
important.
Well, no.
Don't
would-
get it. It's a right to a
would
divorce.
would any man get married if he knew there would be no sex?
No, I get.
Yeah.
I suppose it's
No.
an
Yeah, nailed it. That's an absolute no. The problem is you put the kids in before your husband when you're supposed to never lose that link of being lovers. You and your wife are above the kids. It's super unpopular when people hear this and they're like, oh my God, how could you say that? Because it all starts from the parents. When the parents are happy together, the kids, it's like a trickle down effect. The kids will be happy. If the parents are fighting and they're unhappy, the kids see that and the tension in the house causes a traumatic upbringing. The parents matter more than the children. Your relationship with your wife is more important than your kids. It all stems from you two. If you have issues, it goes downstream into your kids and they'll have issues. End of story. Either you accept this or you don't. All these, my kids are first. My kids are the most important. Make more motherfucking kids. Your marriage is first. Your husband is first. Your wife is first. Everything else is secondary. As long as you two are good, everything else around you will be good. People lose sight of that when they have children, especially women, especially. Feels like she doesn't have to be the lover anymore. She's just purely 100% mom now. Completely neglects the husband. Ends up in dead bedrooms where they're not having sex for months, years at a time, apparently decades, and are surprised their man just goes and cheats with some other woman. The most annoying part of that whole situation is that she'll go around and tell the family, I gave him everything. I sacrificed my body for him. How could he cheat on me? Yeah, you neglected the shit out of your husband. He was practically a roommate for 10 years. Are you surprised, Karen, that he looked outside for intimacy somewhere else where he wasn't finding it at home with his own wife? And women want to be all shocked this happens and try to smear their reputation with the friends and the family. He's an asshole. He's a bastard. He did this to me. He cheated, without owning up to the fact that you're a major cause, the primary cause for the infidelity in the relationship. But people don't want to hold themselves accountable, especially women. Kryptonite, baby. You just can't. Anything but accountability.
age thing as well.
Yeah.
You get to Ash's age and it sort of falls off.
Well, you just fall asleep.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it comes back though, doesn't it, when you get to your age?
I'm not actually prepared to discuss it.
Well,
But basically, you're saying the woman should satisfy the man and he won't leave, is basically what you're saying.
most men, yeah.
I think
But
that's-
most men, I think, see just, and women are to blame for this because a lot of women like,
That's what she's saying.
a little bit maybe, of titillation every now and then while
Can you
the
say
husband
that?
is away. And they have a really nice relationship with
Mhm.
their husband. They're super friends. They enjoy a little bit of sex here and there, but every now and then on both sides, maybe they'll like just something different.
Mm.
Is
Like,
that bad?
on both sides cheat? Are you saying? I don't
We
understand.
might not use the word cheat.
No,
Some
yes,
people
that's what
actually,
he's saying, yeah.
Some people actually come to an
But
agreement.
if they're both
Most-
cheating, it's an open marriage, basically.
Yeah, I mean, most men can't cheat. Women are out cheating men nowadays. There's new
No,
studies. Yes,
really?
they are. Yes, they are. They're out drinking men too.
Oh, yeah.
I think most of the
Yeah.
things that women say about men, women are.
Back to
I think yes,
Goebbels again. Back to Goebbels.
I mean, I think you're
Yeah.
right. Of course, a lot of women will have a glass of wine in the evening.
Have you seen the size of the
might
glasses
be-
now? They're like that.
Yeah, women.
And it could be quite easily a bottle a night.
I mean, women always say that men are these alcoholic abusers. Like that's what I always hear. And they always say they're deadbeats. That's another one. I think there's more female deadbeats than male deadbeats. I think women are more abusive than men. No, I do.
Have the dating apps made things worse? Because women can go out, they've got a much more selection. It's easy to be
Yeah, because you turn, again, like, a woman would turn 18 or 20, whatever, and their options would be the high school or the town. Now it's anyone in the world, anywhere.
Who's 100 meters away.
Yeah, and if a girl's attractive enough, I mean, there'll be big name celebrities messaging her on Instagram.
Really?
Have you had that?
Oh, no.
I bet you have.
Haven't you?
Yeah, didn't you get my message?
I mean, it's a way things are progressing. I mean, people used to get married.
It was an ownership thing,
and
wasn't
stay
it?
married for their entire lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I would.
It wasn't an ownership thing. What is that guy talking about? It was the thing you did for God, under God, for your community, between two families, for the children, man and wife, the church, religion. It all used to be important. And then we replaced it with woke leftist ideology, gender ideology. I could put on lipstick and a dress and you have to call me a woman or else you're committing violence against me. Okay. Couple that in with the economic destruction we're facing. Massive inflation, stagnant wages, corrupt politicians, corporations' undue influence over our government. Oh my God, the list goes on, my friend. It starts at the tippy top. It's just sprinkles of piss coming down to us. And this is what we're left in the trenches of piss and shit to deal with as our broken society becomes even more untenable and unfixable in the future. Keep voting in red or blue because one of them's going to fix it. It's been red or blue for the past, I don't know how many, 100 years. Still going down the shitter. We'll go down the shitter when the next guy gets voted in November. And then the next guy after him, 4 years later, still circling the drain like a turd. And you're going to be left dealing with it. That's why some smart men have gotten a passport and have left. Because they see what the writing is. All over the wall. And it says shit and piss. Good luck, my friend.
Was married to my first wife for a long, long time until sadly she died. And I got married again because I met somebody I absolutely fell in love with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you fall in love with somebody, and I think a lot of people aren't lucky enough to actually fall in love, because sometimes falling in love, it's not just about sex. It's about the whole of the personality of the person, the vibe, the fact you
The vibe.
just feel
Vibes.
like one when you're together. Excuse me, I'm getting emotional. No, I'm not.
That's beautiful, man.
It's perhaps people are now so wound up in their social media life, and everybody's going on. Well, we're going to have to ban phones to people under
Yeah,
60.
good luck.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah,
it's
never.
absolutely never going to happen.
Mhm.
What we need to do is learn to live with the added pressure of social media and deal with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, social media is affecting women.
Yeah.
So, women are the ones
The
choosing,
most.
we're the ones choosing not to get married. So,
Yeah.
I'm just describing what's happening. I don't
Well,
sell-
men are choosing
I
not to
don't-
get married as well. I think a lot of people are. They're just thinking, well, first of all, financially, and they
For different reasons, though, women think it's empowering and that they don't need a man. Men are choosing not to get married because there's not many good women left that even want to be married. There's a reaction to a man instinctually wants to be the head of a household, lead a family, have children with a beautiful, submissive, friendly, fit woman. But there's not many of those left. And the economic situation says it's almost impossible to have the lifestyle your grandfather could with a factory job. That's what it is.
the way the world's going, and you just think, well, and also you can have quite a nice.
And then look, just why marriage is dead. We played this video in the last episode or so.
More than half of women who are married and categorize themselves as happily
Wait a
married.
sec.
They're married.
Happily married women are doing this?
Have a backup plan. And what is a backup plan? It means you have someone on the back burner.
So a
like
specific person
a
they've
specific
identified.
person that they've identified. And in most cases, it was either an ex-boyfriend or an old friend who never made it to the dating category.
Get out of town.
Unfortunately, yes. And the problem is social media has just made it too easy to have such a type of behavior.
Right. So
Voila. What have I been telling you?
You'd
life
like to
with
get
her.
married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you want kids.
Do you want us to
I
ring
do.
him? Should we ring him and get him on?
He's taking too long about it.
But women we're not. But women are having children a lot later in life.
Yeah.
And that by the time you get to 60,
But they're more balanced, the kids, then.
no, not
Because you're
necessarily.
sensible when you're older, you know how
No.
to bring them up. When you go at 18-year-old with the kids, they
You're
messed up
tired.
the kids.
When you're older.
Anyways, let's go to comments. I'll never get married again. Can't believe guys marrying again, and again. Insane. In the West, it's insane. In other parts of the world, not at all. The government is scared because men are done with these women. I'm curious again. I can't remember what the exact statistics were, but let's see. So when you just put divorces in Europe by country, it says for divorce, see table 2. We'll look at the graph real quick. The lowest crude rates in the EU were registered in Malta, Slovenia, Croatia, and Romania. By contrast, divorce rates were highest in Latvia, Lithuania, and Sweden. Sweden's no surprise. But the important thing here, when you look at these graphs, is it says crude marriage rate. So what's important is how many people are getting married. For example, Romania's is near dark blue. So that is a high per 1,000 people. So Italy has a really low one. Like what we don't want is a light colored country with also a light colored divorce rate because hardly anybody's getting married. But when you have a heavily marrying country, such as Romania, with an extremely light color in divorces, they're doing something correctly. Like here's Sweden doing the exact opposite. They have very light marriage rates and absolutely humongous divorce rates. And these are Eurostats. Somehow we don't got France and Germany on here because those numbers in the UK would be absolutely atrocious. And when you look at the list here, it says divorce rates in Europe this is 2020. The other one was a little bit more recent, but by country per 100 marriages. Bro, Portuguese bros at 91. Are you kidding me? 91%. Spain, 85%. Italy, 68. Sweden, 68. Wow. And then you look at the bottom, it's like, where do you want to be? Ireland, Hungary, Malta, Romania, Cyprus, Croatia, Slovenia. That's where you want to be. Those are 2020. Here's some crazy stats. This is for America. This divorce rate from 2000 to 2022. It's been on a steady decline because the marriage rate has declined too, dropping from 8.2 in 2000 to 6.2 per population in 2021. Third marriages have the highest divorce rate. If you've done it once, you do it again. And if you're on the third one, the second one didn't matter either. 40% of new marriages include a partner who's remarrying. Sheesh. Most marriages, 60%, are first marriages for both partners. Only 6% of divorced couples remarry each other. What in the world? Divorcees are more likely to die earlier than married people. Gray divorce takes a heavier toll on women's standard of living. Gray divorce is a term used for those who end a marriage at age 50 or older. So ladies, that grass is greener, older woman dating shit isn't for you. Here you go. You're being told straight up. It takes a heavy toll when you realize you get on the market and nobody wants a grandma. Having friends who are divorced increases your risk of divorce. Of course, influence. Couples who live together before marriage are more likely to divorce. 60% of divorced couples cited infidelity. Domestic abuse prompts a divorce in 24% of cases. Basic incompatibility and money issues are among the top reasons for divorce. There's 58% report arguing and excess conflict. 45% indicate they married too young. 38% report financial problems. Over 70% of couples report not understanding the realities or stages of marriage. Occupations, boys with the highest divorce rates: gaming manager, bartender, flight attendant, gaming services workers, rolling machine setters. Occupations with the lowest divorce rate: find yourself an actuary, physical scientist, medical scientist, clergy. Find yourself a software developer, boys. Physical therapist, optometrist, chemical engineers, religious and education directors, physicians and surgeons. I don't know about that physician and surgeons, but get you a nerd, because the industry with the lowest divorce rate: architecture and engineering, computer and mathematics, military, that depends. Life, physical and social sciences, education and library, healthcare, all basically nerds. The highest divorce rates come from the old hags in the office and administrative support, transportation, protective services, personal care and service, healthcare support, sales. There you go. There's a ton of statistics to look at. We'll see you guys on the next one.